The carrier hit the counter with a sharp thud.
I don't need it.
The blonde woman snapped.
This animal is sick and defective.
Sarah's hands froze over her keyboard. In 2 years working at this veterinary clinic, she'd never heard anything like this. Most owners burst through these doors carrying their sick pets like precious children. They'd spend their life savings. They'd beg the doctors to try one more treatment. Some even refused humane end when their pets were suffering beyond hope. But this woman? She stood there checking her expensive watch. She ignored the weak meowing from the carrier. She showed less emotion than the plastic furniture.
How much longer?
The blonde demanded, with obvious irritation creeping into her voice. Sarah maintained her professional composure as she responded. I'll need you to put your signature here and here as well. I want to make sure you fully understand what will happen.
I have no idea, and frankly, I don't care. I just want to abandon it here, with all of you. Leave it with us.
Sarah's heart sank.
I don't have time for this.
The woman's voice rose dangerously.
I absolutely cannot spare any more time dealing with this situation.
Sarah tried to stay professional. Please calm down. I need to clarify something. We don't handle pet burials. The blonde's eyes flashed with fury.
I don't need a burial. Just dispose of it. Throw it in the trash for all I care. I will go on vacation in 3 hours, and you're making me late.
The waiting room went silent. An elderly man with a sick dog stared in horror. Sarah's stomach turned. She'd heard owners make difficult decisions before. Tearful goodbyes. Agonizing choices. But this was pure evil. One moment, Sarah whispered, fleeing to the back room. Dr. James was just finishing surgery. His hands were steady, confident. He'd just saved another life that other vets had given up on. Tell the owner we're done, James said, pulling off his surgical mask. We saved the little guy. She's probably been pacing the waiting room, worried sick. Sarah couldn't meet his eyes. Actually, this conversation is about our next patient who's waiting. What's wrong? James noticed her pale face immediately. Sarah's voice cracked. She wants us to get rid of her cat. As fast as possible. Get rid of it how? She didn't specify. She just wants it gone. The surgical instruments clattered as James ripped off his gloves. His jaw clenched. In 15 years of practice, he'd never met an owner who didn't care about their pet's fate. Emma, finish up here, he told his assistant. His voice was deadly quiet. Sarah, bring that woman to exam room 3. Now, I'll bring her back right away, Sarah confirmed. James expected an elderly person. Maybe someone overwhelmed by medical bills. Maybe someone facing homelessness who couldn't keep a pet. Instead, a magazine-cover beautiful woman walked in. Designer clothes worth more than most people's monthly salary. Perfect makeup. Jewelry that could fund the clinic for months. Cold, dead eyes. She checked her phone while he introduced himself. She spoke like she was ordering coffee. No emotion. No hesitation. I'm Dr. James. I understand you have a cat you'd like to surrender.
Surrender?
She laughed harshly.
Is that what we're calling it?
What would you call it?
Getting rid of a problem.
James felt his first chill of warning. Can you tell me about this problem?
It's defective. Ugly. Embarrassing. I want it gone.
Defective how?
Look at it yourself if you care so much.
She spoke like she was discussing a broken appliance. No emotion. No hesitation. No humanity. Ma'am, I need to understand the situation. This is your pet?
It was supposed to be a gift for my friend Melissa. For her birthday.
What happened? The woman's face twisted with remembered humiliation.
Melissa took one look and started laughing. In front of everyone at her party.
Why did she laugh?
Because it's hideous. That stupid bite. Those uneven markings. I spent $800 on that thing.
$800?
From some fancy breeder. Promised me a perfect kitten. Perfect coloring, perfect features, perfect everything. But it wasn't perfect. Melissa's friends were taking pictures, posting them online. Making jokes. Do you know how that made me look?
So you decided to
get rid of the evidence.
James stared at her. Evidence?
Of my mistake. Of my poor judgment. Of my embarrassment.
This is a living animal we're talking about. She shrugged.
Your point?
James had seen callous people before. But this woman was something else entirely. She checked her watch again.
Are we almost done here? My Uber will be here soon.
I understand, James said coldly. You can go.
You'll handle it.
We will. She reached for her designer purse.
How much?
James felt sick. For someone like you?
It's free.
Since you clearly don't care what happens to this animal. Her face brightened.
Perfect. I've already wasted enough money on this disaster.
She stood up, smoothing her expensive dress and turned toward the door, then paused. Have a nice day. She walked out without looking back. Not once. James stared at the empty doorway. His hands were shaking now. He'd done this before, always as a last resort, always with grieving owners present. But this felt different. This felt like murder. Minutes crawled by. The carrier sat silent on the exam table. Too silent. Minutes crawled by. Sarah returned, her eyes red. They had no diagnosis. No medical history. No veterinary reason for humane end. Just the word of a heartless woman who wanted her mistake erased. She's gone? Yeah. They stood there staring at the carrier. Neither wanted to open it. What did she tell you exactly? Sarah asked. She bought it as a gift for $800. From some fancy breeder. James's voice was hollow. Her friend laughed at it. So she decided to get rid of it. A soft meow drifted from the carrier. Barely audible. Heartbreaking. Sarah's hands trembled. James, maybe we should. Get me a syringe, Sarah. His voice was hollow. While Sarah fetched the lethal injection, James opened the carrier with shaking fingers. What he saw broke his heart into 1,000 pieces. A tiny gray kitten. Fluffy as a cloud. Curled in the corner like a terrified child. When it looked up at him, those little eyes seemed to understand everything. James reached out slowly. The kitten pressed against the carrier walls and whimpered. Shoo, James whispered. It's okay. But it wasn't okay. Nothing about this was okay. James examined the trembling creature. Tiny paws. Perfect ears. Bright eyes. Soft fur. Everything seemed normal except. The kitten was skeleton thin under its fur. Dehydrated. Weak. But alive. I'm so sorry, James said, his voice breaking. He lifted the tiny creature carefully. It weighed almost nothing. Like holding a handful of feathers. The kitten pressed against his chest and purred. Actually purred. Despite everything, it still trusted humans. Sarah. His voice changed completely. Sarah, get in here. Now. She returned with the syringe, tears streaming down her face. I can't watch this, James. Let another one do it. Stay. James held up the kitten. Look at how thin it is under all this fur. Sarah leaned closer.
Oh my God!
This kitten is starving. James's anger exploded. She wasn't just abandoning it. She was torturing it. The kitten mewed softly, nuzzling against James's shirt. Can I leave the room? Sarah sobbed. I can't handle this. No. I need your help. James wrapped the kitten in his scarf. Call Emma. Tell her to bring 4 fluids. And call the lab. The lab? We're running every test this clinic offers. Emergency priority. You're not going to. I'm not killing a healthy animal because some monster was too embarrassed to keep it and feed it. Emma arrived as James held the kitten close. The tiny thing had stopped shivering in his warmth. What do you need? Emma asked. Star of fluid drip for severe dehydration. Full blood panel. Urinalysis. Everything. When did it last eat? Emma asked, setting up the fluid drip. Maybe a week ago. Maybe longer. Emma's face went white.
A week?
She called it defective. So I think she decided to let it die. That's not defective, Emma said, examining the kitten gently. That's just a minor overbite. Doesn't affect anything. Tell that to the woman who abandoned it. Emma shook her head in disgust. That's not a person, Sarah whispered. That's a monster. Is Mike here today? Yes. Tell him to take all my appointments. My shift ended an hour ago, but I'm staying until we know this little guy is stable. Emma nodded and rushed out. James filled a tiny syringe with electrolyte solution. Not poison. Life-saving fluids. The kitten drank desperately, like it had been wandering in a desert. Then he held it close and waited. Waiting for test results. Waiting to see if they were too late. Waiting to find out if one woman's cruelty had already won. The kitten slept fitfully in his arms. Sometimes it would wake up and look around, confused. Then it would see James and relax, purring softly. You still trust us, James whispered. After everything she did to you, you still trust humans. The test results came back 3 hours later. Sarah brought them with shaking hands. The lab marked it critical, she whispered. They called twice to confirm the results. James read the report with growing rage. His face went white, then red with fury. Completely healthy, he announced, his voice tight with anger. Perfect organ function. Perfect blood chemistry. No diseases. No genetic problems. Then why?
Severe malnutrition. Severe dehydration. This kitten was dying of starvation and thirst.
Sarah collapsed into a chair. How long? Based on these numbers? At least a week without proper food. Maybe 10 days.
She was torturing it to death. Slowly. Deliberately. While she planned her vacation.
James looked down at the sleeping kitten. I'm sorry, Sarah. I thought I was going to, but I couldn't. He's alive. Just exhausted. Sarah's tears turned to joy.
Really? He's going to live?
He needs treatment. And a home. I already have 2 cats and a dog. And I have 3, Sarah laughed through her tears.
But we can manage.
James smiled for the first time that day. This little guy is a fighter. He survived her cruelty. He's going to be fine. The kitten opened its eyes and looked up at them. Those blue eyes seemed brighter now. More alert. What should we call him? Sarah asked. James thought for a moment. Apollo. God of healing. God of light. Apollo, Sarah repeated. I like it. Apollo purred and closed his eyes, safe at last. 2 months later. Morning, Sarah. Good morning, James. Sarah grinned. Guess where Apollo is? Let me guess. The OR again? He snuck in to watch over a stray recovering from surgery. 3rd time this week. James laughed. Apollo had grown into a beautiful, confident cat. Well-fed, well-loved, and somehow possessing an uncanny ability to sense which animals needed extra care. Should I go get him? Don't bother. He knows what he's doing. It started 3 weeks ago. A stray dog had been hit by a car and brought in unconscious. The surgery went well, but the dog wasn't responding to treatment. James was reviewing charts when Apollo started acting strange. The cat burst into his office, yowling like the building was on fire. What's gotten into you, Apollo? Apollo ran toward the kennels again, looking back to make sure James followed. All right, I'm coming. In the recovery kennel, the injured dog lay still. Too still. Its breathing was shallow, labored. The dog's been like this for hours, the assistant said. Vitals are stable, but something's wrong. James examined the patient more carefully. Then he noticed what Apollo had somehow sensed. This dog is hypothermic. Body temperature's dropping fast. They quickly wrapped the dog in heated blankets and administered warming fluids. Within an hour, the dog was alert and responding. How did you know? James asked Apollo, who sat proudly beside the now recovering patient. Apollo just purred and settled in for a long watch. From that day, Apollo appointed himself the clinic's guardian angel. He seemed to know which animals needed him most. For years, Apollo served the clinic with unwavering dedication. Everyone adored him. Visitors always asked, "Whose beautiful cat is this?" James would smile and remember that terrible day. The day he almost became a monster's accomplice. He belongs to all of us, James would say. The reject nobody wanted had become the heart of their entire world. And sometimes, late at night, James would hold Apollo and whisper, "You saved yourself, didn't you? You saved all of us." Apollo would purr and nuzzle closer, as if he understood every word. Because maybe, just maybe, he did. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. It really helps us grow and create more stories.